Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about how Dungeons and Dragons, every campaign will be impacted by Disney Lorcana. So let's jump into this. So, first of all, this is part of a playlist. You can absolutely understand what I'm talking about here, but you might have more full context if you listen to this within the playlist, right? So, basically, Disney Lorcana is really fascinating. I actually think it is a product that has been fundamentally changed by Dungeons and Dragons. How would Disney Lorcana, a product that was not created by Wizards of the Coast, not created by Hasbro, be so massively impacted by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons product? Well, here's why. Dungeons and Dragons has been intimately tied to Magic the Gathering for literally, it came out in 1993. We just had a 30th year anniversary. Magic the Gathering has been tied to Dungeons and Dragons for 30 decades, and that binding, Magic the Gathering is completely infused with Dungeons and Dragons at this point. And that infusion with Dungeons and Dragons by canon, right, has fundamentally changed how Magic the Gathering is designed, created, packaged, promoted, distributed, played, experienced. It's just Dungeons and Dragons is inseparable from Magic the Gathering. Disney Lorcana is a 100% clone. It actually is a 99% clone of Magic the Gathering. So it's got Dungeons and Dragons in it because Lorcana copied Magic the Gathering, which already has Dungeons and Dragons infused in it. And Dungeons and Dragons is this incredible product where once your product touches it, it's transformed forever. Like, Dungeons and Dragons doesn't leave anything it touches unchanged, really. Once there's a full engagement, right? There's a lot of people who roll in and try Dungeons and Dragons, really don't, it doesn't hit, they don't really get it. It doesn't connect with them, and they walk away unchanged. But if you get to the point where you understand Dungeons and Dragons and you are engaging with Dungeons and Dragons, you do not walk away unchanged, and no product that ever gets connected to Dungeons and Dragons ever makes it away unchanged. So what does that mean? Where do we land, right? It's very interesting. Where do we land with that considered, right? Well, it is interesting. Here's where we land with Dungeons and Dragons and Lorcana. So Lorcana is bringing forward these three concepts, and those concepts are Storyborn. Every single character in Lorcana is Storyborn, Dreamborn, or Floodborn. Okay, and already, of course, people who have been reviewing Lorcana are asking the designers, they're like, what does this mean? And the designers have brought back answers that do not answer the question, and literally just create more questions, right? And so when you reach this point where you're seeing, so what does Storyborn, Dreamborn, and Floodborn mean? Well, one of the things is, I think the moment that these cards drop, they're going to start being used in Dungeons & Dragons campaigns. Dungeon Masters will pick up Disney Lorcana to use in Dungeons & Dragons campaigns. And the reason why is Magic the Gathering is fully created, fully contextualized to be used in Dungeons & Dragons. Every Magic card that comes out is structured with the same Strixhaven structure, right? The magic is infused with it from the swamps, plain, from the mountains, from the plains, from the red, white, and blue, from the mountains, from the plains, from the islands, and from the forests and from the swamps. Literally the magic of D&D and Magic the Gathering are the same, and Lorcana is copied directly over. So these cards are going to be used for Dungeons & Dragons day one drop, right? In Dungeons & Dragons as D&D components. And so once that happens, every Dungeon Master is going to have to think, what does Storyborn mean? What does Dreamborn mean? And what does Floodborn mean, right? And Storyborn, I think, means core. Like core all the way to the canon, right? So Strixhaven, canon in D&D. And canon in Magic the Gathering, right? Dreamborn, right? So there, it's going to be like Dungeons & Dragons has its canon world, right? Is Spider-Man canon to D&D? Well, there's a Magic the Gathering card for Fortnite, and Spider-Man is in Fortnite, right? So he would be Dreamborn connected, right? And then what is Floodborn, right? Floodborn might be an even more distant relationship, right? Like Yahtzee is a good example. Like Dungeons & Dragons exists in Yahtzee, but the canon is extenuated, right? Like D&D canon's relationship to the Yahtzee dice and what Yahtzee brings to the table for Dungeons & Dragons might be as far as Floodborn. So I think what this is going to mean is how directly connected to D&D canon is it. The connection may be a dotted line, a thin dotted line, or is it a thick black Sharpie with absolute connection, right? Like with the connection strong rather than with the connection less strong, right? And so I think every dungeon master, when they look at Lorcana, is going to see these powerful narrative elements and be called to very directly address, right, the meaning of Storyborn, Dreamborn, and Floodborn. And there's going to be interpretation, right? They're going to embrace page 4 of the rules aren't in charge, you're in charge, and there will be, and the Dungeon Master community will forge definitions for these terms for the characters they use in their Dungeons & Dragons campaigns as they come in from Disney Lorcana, which is a 99% clone of Magic the Gathering, and is infused with powerful Dungeons & Dragons elements because of that copying. And I'm not sure Ravensburg was fully aware of what they were doing, but the connections are massively there. And the moment Disney Lorcana hits and those cards are available, they will be showing up at Dungeons & Dragons tables all over America, and then a year or 2 years after, all over the world. That's the pattern. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.